Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Jay Stevens Podcast. This is episode number 159, dedicated to a man who on December 14th, 1998, became the winner of the 64th Heisman Trophy, the former Texas Longhorn, Mr. Ricky Williams. And as always, thank you for listening and downloading another episode of the podcast. On today's episode, we talk a little bit about the shoe that was thrown at the end of the Florida LSU game. Coach K had some comments, and well, they made me scratch my head. And it's the time of year where I have to remind everybody how we should approach the NBA preseason. But first, earlier this year, it may have been late May, early June, early to mid-June, but earlier this year, the phrase cancel culture was around everything. If something offended somebody, we're going to cancel it. If you make a statement and we don't like it, we're going to cancel you. If you make a statement and I like what you do and I like exactly how it is you're going to, you do your job, we're going to alter cancel culture. We won't cancel you, but we want to force you to make an apology video simply because we don't fully agree with and we don't like the way of the tone of what you said. We like you, but the statement you made, we don't like that. And here we are, December 14th, the year 2020, and cancel culture makes an appearance once again. It is something that, well, in my childhood, in my 20s, in my early 30s where I am now, I never, ever once got offended by what we're going to talk about here in a second. Not once. Many people out there have been. Not sure where that started or when that started as far as when this particular name began to be offensive to certain people that are around sports, but here we are. Name a name such as the Cleveland Indians. May seem like a normal name to you. You talk to a kid, a 4 or 5-year-old, are you offended by the name Indians? No, not at all. I mean, it's just an Indian. It's just a representation of something, of a human being, of a person, of a culture. Never once did I get offended by it. But here we are. It came out on Sunday. The Cleveland Indians will no longer be called the Cleveland Indians. They have been pushed to, in previous years, to alter the mascot and alter the picture or the symbol that is on their jersey. And they've changed it, and they changed it, and they changed it. And in 2020, cancel culture comes back and has forced people, and due to a long investigation, and nobody knows where the investigation comes from, but Indians will no longer be the nickname of the baseball team in Cleveland. Do I get offended by it? Absolutely not. Did I get offended by the term Redskins when the Washington football team was nicknamed the Washington Redskins? Not at all. Actually, I have read that those that are in the Native American world, they found it as a badge of honor that a professional football team and a professional baseball team were or would utilize them in a symbol of their mascot. And they found it as a badge of honor. Now, I have also heard people that are in that area that say, no, it didn't offend me. I heard a guy that played for the Redskins. He said the name itself did not offend him. Not at all. But he also changed his tone and said, well, it's a new time. It offends some people. You can go ahead and change it. But if it doesn't offend you and you're cowering to the culture, doesn't that seem like we're just going to be on this trajectory and we're just going to be on this path for a long time? If something offends somebody, do we have to cancel it? No, not at all. There are things that I do that aren't bad, but someone else may not agree with. Does that mean I need to cancel them? No. There are things that you do that aren't bad. Does that mean that you need to cancel them because somebody else doesn't like it or may offend somebody? No. There are going to be things that we do that people don't like. That does not mean that cancel culture needs to come out and to change things. Now, I will say this. I have not interviewed anybody that's a Native American. I have not interviewed anybody that's in that world. All I can do is read the articles and listen to the interviews and formulate my opinion about from what they agree, what they say from that culture in one way. But as a human being, there are people that look at me and assume certain things about me that aren't actually true. Based off of things that they see on the TV or they see on the social media, they assume that there are certain things that are part of my life that aren't that way. I know you could go around, you're going to look around, and people are going to be talking about this all week long and say, well, this is we're changing things, and people are going to come after the Kansas City Chiefs and other teams around professional sports. There's a local team in my area, the Warren Central Warriors. Never once did I or anybody else ever think that was offensive or that it offended somebody. But with the way the 2020 has gone, with the way the cancel culture has gone, things that weren't offensive ever in anybody's life, all of a sudden now, they are offensive. I get it. It's cancel culture. Things are going to happen, but not everything needs to be canceled. Let's go ahead and take a trip to Gainesville, Florida, specifically the Swamp, because at the end of that Florida LSU game, that young man threw that shoe. Oh my goodness. He knew he really messed up. College football always delivers. That right there goes very well, and it's a great way to describe what took place in Gainesville in the Swamp at the end of the Florida LSU game. Going into the game, I'm thinking Florida has this one in the bag. LSU is trash. LSU is without their top three corners. They're playing a true freshman quarterback. They have 54 scholarship athletes. So there's so many things going against the LSU Tigers in the year that they've had, and with their self-imposed postseason ban. Even though you were 3-5, now you're 4-5. Not really looking to get a bid or get a call from one of the bowl committees and saying, hey, come on here. We want y'all to play here with us. We know 2020 is gone, but y'all have just looked so bad this year that getting one of those calls, I don't think it was going to happen. But then college football delivers in a way that, well, we least expected it. 3rd and 10, little over 2 minutes to go at the snap of the ball. Quarterback throws the ball to Cole Taylor. And when I got on Twitter to see what y'all was talking about, all I saw was that man threw his shoe. And I'm thinking, hold on, I was not watching the game at that time. But your boy had to investigate, figure out what was going on, and to see exactly what took place to make people say, that man threw his shoe. Guys, there are things that happen in sports that make you scratch your head. There are things that happen in life that make us wonder, what were you thinking? But during a crucial point in that game, 34-34, 2:05 left on the clock at the snap of the ball on 3rd and 10. I never in my wildest imagination would have thought that when Cole Taylor caught the ball, and when he caught that ball not getting a first down, that Marco Wilson would take off Cole Taylor's shoe and throw that thing 20 yards downfield. And all of a sudden you hear Sean McDonough, and I think he's with Todd Blacklist on the call, and Todd McShake's down there on the sideline. And Sean McDonough and them up there in the booth, they can't see what's going on the field due to the fog. They're not watching the monitor. They're trying to figure out and use their eyeballs to say, look, what happened? Help me out. Help me see and sift through what's going on so I can properly describe to the viewers what took place on the field. Well, here's one of those situations where the viewers have a clear-eye view about what just took place, but it went so fast, it went so quick that you may have struggled, just like Sean McDonough, to truly understand what took place until you saw the replay, until Todd McShay got on there and started to describe what took place, and until the referee got on the mic and said, unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 3, defense, throwing the player's shoe 20 yards downfield. Now look, here I am, trying to be as goofy as possible, trying to just take this all in and capture the moment. He didn't have to state that he threw the shoe 20 yards downfield. He didn't have to, but that just makes things a whole lot better. Even the referee was so flabbergasted and so taken back by what you just did. He literally stated, which is true, and went 20 yards. He said, throwing the player's shoe 20 yards downfield. Marco Wilson, what are you doing? What in the world are you thinking that you are going to be comfortable and you're going to be in your mind and say, well, we're going to take this shoe, we're going to take it off of his foot and throw it downfield. Maybe, just maybe, you have seen some basketball players at the free throw line, and all of a sudden you see a player that unties his opponent's shoe to try and get an upper hand, or you're watching some old school Dennis Rodman clips when he is on the block, and I know there are times that he would try to pull down the shorts of whoever was right there that he was trying to battle with to get the rebound. Or you may have seen things where Lance Stevenson, oh yeah, buddy, we're going back a few years now. A more recent memory. Lance Stevenson blew in the ear of LeBron James, Pacers, and Heat. The 3-year run, or that time period, where those teams battled in the playoffs. 2012, 2013, and 2014. Pacers versus Heat. LeBron, PG. D-Wade's there. Chris Bosh is there. Who was the number 2 for the Pacers? You got David West. You got Roy Hibbert. Oh, my goodness, Roy Hibbert. You got George Hill. I don't want to get on Roy Hibbert. I could be on that train all day long. You get Lance Stevenson, who is becoming a fan favorite at that time, and he started to feel himself, and he blew into the ear of LeBron. Now, this was not the first time that a player blew into the ear of his opponent, but it just seems so weird. Like, hey, man, look. What you blowing in that man's ear for? That's just as weird as you pulling down somebody's shorts when you're on the block, or you're untying somebody's shoe. No, actually, let's get it correct. Blowing in somebody else's ear, a man blowing into another man's ear, is just a little weird. No, not just a little. That's weird, y'all. That's weird. I wasn't the biggest Lance Stevenson fan, but even if I was, I have no problem stating that is very, very weird. If I was at work, or if I'm playing basketball, if I'm just doing whatever, and there's a man that walks up to me, we're talking, or we're doing something, or we're in competition somewhere, or dodgeball, whatever it is, and all of a sudden, a man walks up to me and just blows into my ear. You know how weird that sounds? You know how weird that feels? You know what kind of thoughts run into a man's head when another man blows into another man's ear? No, buddy. Jay ain't for that, and I'm pretty sure you might not be as well. And if Marco Wilson could go back into his memory bank and just take some time to think, what was I thinking? He may think, well, I just wanted to kind of celebrate a little bit, and I had this thing in my hand. It happened to be his shoe. I realized if I threw this thing down the field, it would take them a whole lot longer to get back to the line of scrimmage to punt the ball. And, well, even though we need some time, it would really just prolong things and kind of hurt us, or kind of make things a little bit different. So I said, hey, how about I celebrate by throwing his shoe? Doesn't make sense, does it? Even if he was saying it would take them longer to get back to the line of scrimmage. You got to realize and think about this, Marco Wilson. You need the ball back. And you want to have as much time as possible to score. Now, granted, you could win by scoring a field goal, by kicking a field goal, but at that same time, you still want to have enough time that, let's say, the LSU defense stops you on first, stops you on second, and you need third and fourth to get a first down. You want to have as much time as possible. So delaying them getting back to the line of scrimmage when time is against you at this time, and time's against them as well. Yeah, that thinking right there it's not the best. What else could he have been thinking? I just want to celebrate with anything. I don't care what it is. I just want to celebrate. I happen to have his shoe in my hand. Throw that thing. Just throw it. I mean, you know how it is at the end of a game, NCAA Final Four, you see it all the time. A player gets the ball, game over, clock strikes 0 for the final time. You throw that thing up into the high rise, throw that thing up into the stadium or the arena that you're playing in. Hey, those are things that happen. But Marco, use your brain, buddy. This reminds me of my friend, your friend. Eventually, he was shirtless, J.R. Smith. Game 1, NBA Finals. I forget the exact year. LeBron was playing out of his mind in this game. It was quickly noted, and we all realized it was LeBron and everybody else. He was not going to get the amount of attention and the amount of help that he would like to get during this time, during this game. So it was literally LeBron James and everybody else on the Cleveland Cavaliers going up against a loaded Golden State Warriors team. And LeBron at this time, George Hill was at the free throw line. George Hill makes the first. George Hill misses the second. Ball gets tapped back to J.R. Smith, and J.R. Smith decides to do what? Go the opposite way. JR, what are you doing? You know we need to score to take the lead and to have a chance of winning this game. Hey, JR, you know what you're doing, right? Messing us up. Hey, JR, Court awareness, situational basketball. Use your brain. Well, it seemed to be a little cloudy at that time, just like J.R. Smith's eyes always did when he was on the basketball court, and I'll leave it at that. Use your imagination or hit the Google to figure out why I use the word cloudy to describe J.R. Smith. But J.R. Smith went the other way. Boneheaded play. A play that we look back, we all see that picture of LeBron looking at JR looking all the way confused as far as what just happened and what he just did. Man, I don't know about JR. I don't know about what's happening. I don't know, but all I know, I can look back at that time and say, JR, you messed up. You really messed up, and now we look back, you weren't going to win the series anyway. But that moment right there, oh man, we can get all the jokes off about that situation, just like we will about this one with Marco Wilson. I remember last year, Thanksgiving, it was Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. I want to say Ole Miss was home, but I could be mistaken with that point. But at the end of the game, I believe Ole Miss scored, and with the touchdown, I forget who the ball was even thrown to at the time, but all I remember was that young man got down like he was a dog, lifted up his hind leg like he was peeing on a fire hydrant. What are you doing? What are you doing? Guys, situational, know exactly what's going on. And actually, that type of celebration can't fly. That doesn't happen during any game at any point in time in college football, but it's what we do. Guys, it's sports. We love them. College football always delivers, and this is a moment that happens. If Marco Wilson does not throw Cole Taylor's shoe, LSU punts the ball, or they go for it. They probably go for it. They may have punted the ball, but punt it or go for it. There's a good shot that they don't convert. Florida gets the ball back at some point in time, and they have a chance to score the ball. Well, what happens next? LSU gets the ball, keeps the ball first down, and move down. And then in the fog, you see LSU's kicker, Cade York, kick a 57-yard winning field goal, game-winning field goal in the fog. And man, that's one of those moments, especially in 2020, you're expecting to play, well, SEC country. It's different. A lot of the country is playing football and basketball without any fans present. But that moment right there in the fog, Cade York kicking that 57-yarder for the win. Later on, I believe the Florida kicker had a chance to win the game, and he missed his kick. But Cade York had that right there, and you're sitting there like, hey, man, look. We're in enemy territory. We're not in the bayou. We are in Gainesville. We're in the swamp. There are fans there. They're going to be cheering. And now we get to lead the swamp victorious, and I get to celebrate. Not just for people around the country to watch and to see, as I'm going to celebrate in the way that I want to. No, sir, Bob. I get to celebrate in front of all you Gator fans in the swamp, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, as you guys are leaving upset, mad, some may say pissed off, and I'm leaving the swamp with a smile on my face. Because Marco Wilson, my man, you messed up. Plutus Sports Analytics is a company based on minimizing the uncertainty in sports betting to help you maximize your profit. Newfoundland's first sports analytics team provides daily predictions for all Major League sports, so you can win big. Whether you want to hit MLB picks out of the park or get a slam dunk on your NBA betting tickets, Plutus is a company of choice. Head to PlutusSportsAnalytics.com. That is PLUTUS sportsanalytics.com, and use promo code JSP10 for 10% off their deadly service. Anytime Coach K speaks, there are people out there that turn the volume up. There are people that love college sports. There are just also people that are casual college sports fans that when certain people speak, no matter if you're a casual fan, if you're a diehard, you turn the volume up. And also when certain people speak, you just don't care. You tune them out. And college football, the sport that's right now in championship week, if Dabo Swinney speaks, you're going to listen. If Ryan Day speaks, you're going to listen. If Nick Saban speaks, you're going to listen. If Coach Orgeron speaks, you're listening simply to get a good laugh, possibly, not because you can fully understand what is coming out of his mouth. In college basketball, if Roy Williams speaks, a lot of people listen. If Jim Boeheim speaks, a lot of people listen. If John Calipari speaks, a lot of people listen. And Mike Krzyzewski, when he speaks, a lot of people listen. He has a track record of success. Won numerous NCAA men's national championships, numerous regular season and postseason ACC championships. Has a lot of success. Has put a lot of guys into the NBA. Has had numerous John Wooden Award winners and Player of the Year award winners. And Coach K is a guy that demands respect for what he has done in the college basketball world, and also Team USA as well. He is a basketball lifer. He is a coach through and through. And you know, when there is a coach around you, you are going to listen to what he has to say. He may not be your coach, but there are certain people out there that I know and you know as well, that when you see them, you don't call them and say, hey Bob, or hey Jay, choose my name for instance, or my dad, hey Mr. Stevens, or hey Julius, that's my dad's name. No, you call that man coach. And I've seen my dad interact with people on the Facebook that he used to coach back when he was a coach back in, I believe it was the late 80s, early 90s there in Fort Wayne, Indiana. People call him coach. He is referenced as coach. He understands that. He knows what kind of weight that title holds, and he is not going to back down from it. Coach K is the same way. If I were to see Coach K out on the street, I wouldn't say, hey, Mike, hey, man, nice to meet you, man. I see you all the time on TV. I see what you're doing there with those Duke Blue Devils. Very happy. Glad to meet you. I'm excited. A little fanboy action. Hey, can I get a picture? I wouldn't call that man Mike. I wouldn't call him, hey, Mr. Krzyzewski or Mr. K. I wouldn't call him that. Call him coach. That's what he is. And when there's people like that, you listen. You're more willing and more apt to listen and be tuned in, tapped into what they are saying. And with that in mind, the Duke Blue Devils are 2-2 on the season. They have wins over Coppin State and Bellarmine, 81-71 over Coppin State. Bellarmine, they beat them 76-54. Their two losses came to Big Ten opponents. They lost to Michigan State, 69-75, and they also lost to Illinois, two of the top 10 teams in the country. They lost to them 83-68. They got beat pretty bad. And so Coach K, with that in mind, they had a game against Elon canceled prior to the Illinois game. And also all of these games that Duke has scheduled in their non-conference slate, they are all home games. They have canceled they had a game canceled against Elon, but the game against Coppin State, Michigan State, Bellarmine, and Illinois, all of those games were at home in Cameron Indoor Stadium. After Duke lost to Illinois, Coach K started speaking. Coach K started talking, and it really just seemed like he got tired of losing in the non-conference against really good opponents. He didn't lose against a Coppin State or a Bellarmine, or probably would have beat Elon, and he didn't lose against teams that he was probably going that he should have beat pretty bad. No, that wasn't the case. He simply lost to teams that are better than the Duke Blue Devils. And Coach K, after that Illinois loss, he got a question about what's the current climate right now in the country as far as what's going on with the virus and how we're handling it. And he has some words about how college basketball's handled it and how he thinks things could be different, and how it really isn't happy at times with what's going on. And well, here we got Coach K. Shortly after that, it came out that Coach K and the Duke Blue Devils were going to cancel their remaining non-conference games. And I'm sitting here in my head thinking, Coach K, what are you doing? The timing of this just seems odd. Now, if you truly believe that playing non-conference games right now is meaningless, it's pointless, it's stupid, go right ahead. Say that before the season. Go right ahead. When they're talking about the ACC and the college basketball world starting the week of, Division I college basketball, because college basketball, contrary to what is out there, college basketball was actually going on, D2, D3, NAIA. It had been going on for about a month prior, before the Division I circles and Division I level started playing basketball. So whatever you want to say about everything like that, There have been people that aren't making as much money as Coach K, that don't have the amenities that the Duke Blue Devils have as a basketball team. They don't have the facilities that they have, and do not have the attention that the Duke Blue Devils have, that have been playing for a while. So Coach K, I get it. You're in your little bubble. You're in your circle. You don't think non-conference games are important. I get that. Say that before the season. You might want to say that before you start the season. You might want to make that statement before the ACC decides to start their season in late November. And when you're formulating your non-conference schedule, you might want to be like, look, y'all, I don't think this non-conference thing is right now. I don't think it's ideal. I think we should only play the games that matter to me. I got a statement about that here in a second. And so, Coach K, your timing is off. It's really, really off. And I'll get on this now before I forget as far as the non-conference and conference slate, as far as what's important. I'm a person, have always believed this, and it's not going to change. At least I don't plan on changing my opinion on this. Every game matters. And this is not something that Jay has started in 2020 with the Black Lives Matter or Purple Lives Matter or whatever you guys want to say, something matters. Forget all that stuff. I'm not trying to get political. I'm not trying to get in that world. I'm simply saying every time you step on that basketball court, every time you step on that court to coach your team, that game matters. So, to the guys that are at Elon, are you telling them that the game against Duke doesn't matter? The guys at Charleston Southern who will not be able to play at Cameron Indoor Stadium, which will probably be their only chance to play there in historic venue, and you're saying, nope, doesn't matter. Nope, to us, it doesn't matter, so we're not going to play you. Are you telling those guys that game doesn't matter? Are you telling those guys at Gardner Webb that we're going to take a trip to Cameron Indoor Stadium and you're going to tell them, hey, guys, sorry, you guys don't matter. Only thing that matters to me is the conference games because that matters. I believe that's a bad precedent that the national media is putting out there for people to hear and say, oh, these games don't matter. Only conference games matter. In college football, there is a segment of people that believe that certain bowl games don't matter. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me that at all. You mean those boys at Coastal Carolina that have been balling all year, that are going to get a bowl bid here very soon? You're going to tell me that to tell them that, hey, y'all, because you're not in the playoff, your bowl game doesn't matter. Or the Indiana Hoosiers, the Fighting Tom Allens, as I call them. Their only losses to the Ohio State University. You mean to tell me that those guys that may get a bid into a New Year's Six bowl, you mean to tell me that I should tell them that their bowl game doesn't matter? Please, get out of here with that nonsense. Bowl games matter. Non-conference games matter. And I truly wish that every conference in college football would have played non-conference games. I truly wish that the FCS or the D2 or the D3 or the NAIA levels would have come out and said, hey guys, look, I understand it's going to be tough. It's a weird year. But because sports are so important to life and to just us as a human, as a country, as people, you guys are going to play as well. That went a little bit longer than I expected, but this whole notion that only conference games matter or only playoff games matter or certain things don't matter, get out of here with that nonsense. You cannot try and convince me that games don't matter. You play a pickup basketball game. There may be some money on the line. For the most part, you're playing for the love of the game, playing with your friends just because you want to play. You ain't playing in front of 1,000, 2,000, 15,000, 20,000, 80,000 people. You're playing at a park in the elements with your own shoes. You're paying for everything. You're not getting endorsements and stuff like that. And somebody's going to come to you and say, hey man, look, your game don't matter. Hold on, you'll say, why? You ain't playing in front of 1,000. You ain't playing in front of thousands of people. You're not playing in the Staples Center. You're not playing for the NBA championship. Don't nobody care about that stuff. Pickup games, you play them because they're fun and because you know at that point in time, that's all that matters. And Coach K right now, I get it. Now he did make a statement. Guys, that was not planned at all. But Coach K did come out and make a statement as far as in a video when he announced that they were going to cancel the rest of their non-conference games. This is what Coach K had to say about this situation. Quote, making sure that we're doing the right thing for our players just for safety. We're not going to play any remaining non-conference games. We're not going to try to reschedule. We could try to reschedule 3 games, but we're not going to do that. We're going to play conference and hopefully get to play all of them. We're also going to allow our team to go home for Christmas. These kids need to be with their families for a little bit at least, end quote. And now that statement I can't disagree with. Coach K, these college basketball players, many of them have been on campus. Contrary to what's being put out there for many people to see, a lot of them have been have been on campus since May, since June, since July. They haven't been with their family. They haven't been with their friends. They've been in isolation. And so allowing them to go home for a little bit and then come back, it's important. But with what I think Coach K believes about the virus, and with the way that people are saying kids are safer on campus than they would be at home, wouldn't you think if safety is the number one thing, and with people that believe about the virus certain ways, wouldn't you think the players themselves would be safer on campus than at home? You would. But I also believe for the mental well-being of these kids, you canceling these games can be devastating. Now, they're hoping to play more, but this can be devastating mentally for these kids. But I know when you do something that's going to change or alter somebody's schedule that mentally can be taxing on them, it's great to allow them to have an escape. Going home to mom and dad, family and friends, people you haven't seen in months. That is a good alternative. But the timing of all this seems a little fishy to me. Something that's not a little fishy, that I am happy is here, that I'm sure you may be happy is here, is the NBA preseason. With the NBA season starting, I believe, on December 22nd, just about a week away from now, this is a great time of year. We have the NFL playoffs. That'll be starting in the beginning of January. We have a few more weeks in the NFL season left for us to watch and engage and to digest and just to enjoy for a little bit of time. You have the championship week in college football this weekend on the 18th and 19th. You have the Pac-12 on Friday night. On Saturday, you have the you have the Big 12 and the Big 10 at 12. You have the SEC at 4, and you have the ACC at 8. And a great weekend of college football. You have college basketball ramping up and having good games night in and night out, night in and night out. You have Cade Cunningham balling, hitting game winners, doing a phenomenal job. You have upsets all throughout the time when you're watching basketball. So you have upsets in college basketball. We just watched one in college football, LSU going on the road to Gainesville to beat the Gators of Florida. You have NFL football, great matchups all the time. And now you have the NBA season coming back very quickly. Not really mad about it. I'm glad they're doing it right now. This could be a sign of the future where the NBA says, hey, look, we're going to start the season the week of Christmas, and let's go ahead and go with that. Hey, you would get no complaints from me. I would be all for that. Prior to hosting the podcast, little insight to Jay real quick. I would watch the beginning of the NBA season, but I would get most of my NBA basketball started. I would watch the most games on Christmas. I would devote the most time. Now, I would watch a game every now and then prior to Christmas Day, but I'm not going to sit here and watch both games on a Thursday night on TNT. Early season basketball, it doesn't do it for me. It doesn't. And so Christmas Day, I'm here for it. My real season used to start around the All-Star break. All-Star break, you got All-Star weekend, you got the rookie game or the sophomore game, whatever it's called now. Then you have All-Star Saturday night, and you have the NBA All-Star game, which is kind of not being as much fun to watch as it used to be, but I'll still try to watch a little bit of that. But after that, baby, that's when my season started. But now, I get to watch the college basketball. The college football bowl games going on that week. I'll get to watch the NFL football, and I'll get to watch some NBA on Christmas Day. Right now, I'm here for it. Right now, it's NBA preseason. And already, you have these accounts that are highlight accounts. Already, you have people out here tweeting out stats and LaMelo Ball this and, oh my gosh, look at this guy from the Lakers. Don't even know who he is, but he had a phenomenal game. And oh my goodness, look at KD and Kyrie. They're playing together. They're doing great. Oh my goodness. Look at John Wall back on the court looking great. And I got to say, with John Wall being back on the court, I'm very happy he is playing the basketball once again. But guys, it's another year, another time, just to help you, remind you how we should approach the NBA preseason or any preseason game. Don't read into them at all. Stats mean absolutely nothing. It's a great time for players to get ramped up and to get their feet under them, and for coaches to get their pacing, get their path back and forth up and down the sidelines, and start yelling and getting into mid-season form in the preseason as far as how they're going to get on refs and say, hey, ref, you missed this call, or hey, ref, get me down here, help me out a little bit, or hey, ref, I got this 50. Sorry. Ain't no bribing going on. Hopefully, there's no bribing going on. But preseason is a good time. I am for preseason. I wasn't really happy when the NFL canceled theirs. I kind of got it, kind of don't, but it's just how the way that things go. Don't read into anything going on in the preseason. It's November. What happens right now in November in the preseason means absolutely nothing in March, in April, in May, in June. Preseason is a time to get you ramped up. It's a time to get your feet under you, to start getting some run again with your boys, to start getting up and down the court again, to get your wind back. Because off-season training is completely different than in-season or game training or the way that your game conditioning is going to be. Preseason, gotta love watching the basketball, but don't be a person that reads into the stats, that gets all wrapped up into the highlights. Guys, this basketball, there's meaning for it, but in the grand scheme of things, this means absolutely nothing. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Jay Stevens Podcast. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at jstevens07. You can also send all of the emails to jstevenspod@gmail.com. Remember to always subscribe, rate, and review. It's a great way for people that are searching for a new podcast to listen to come across this one. Then remember to always get the word out about the podcast via word of mouth. The things that we enjoy in life, we are more willing and somewhat wired to tell other people about. So no matter if this was your first episode or if you have been listening since episode number 1, be sure to let people know about the podcast. This has been episode 159 of the Jay Stevens Podcast. I will see you next time.